There's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. You can't pour from an empty cup. Most people hear it, agree with it, and then go right back to neglecting themselves. Because it sounds soft, like an excuse to take it easy, like something people say when they don't want to push. But that's not what it is. At least not the way I see it. Taking care of yourself, and I mean really taking care of yourself, isn't about comfort. It's about responsibility. Physical, mental, spiritual. It's all about showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. Training when you're tired. Thinking when it would be easier to distract. Being honest with yourself when you'd rather avoid the truth. And most people don't want that version of self-care. They want the version that feels good, not the one that requires discipline. The truth most people avoid. If you're being honest, you already know when you're off. You know when you're skipping things you shouldn't. You know when you're cutting corners. You know when you're not showing up the way you're capable of. And here's where most people lose it. They either beat themselves down for it, or they give themselves a pass. And guess what? Neither works. What actually works is this: giving yourself grace and accountability. Understanding that you're human, but also calling yourself out when you're being a little weak bitch. Because sometimes you are. And pretending you're not doesn't help you grow. It goes much deeper than discipline. And here's where it goes deeper. Taking care of yourself isn't just about what you do in the gym or how disciplined you are with your habits. It's about how honest you're willing to be with yourself and with others. Because real growth requires something most people avoid: vulnerability. Not the kind that looks like weakness, the kind that requires courage. The kind where you have the hard conversation, where you say what actually needs to be said, where you stop shrinking yourself to keep the peace, where you recognize your worth and act accordingly. Yeah, that's uncomfortable. It's easy to stay quiet. It's easier to avoid conflict. It's easier to tell yourself it's not a big deal. But every time you do that, you drain your own cup because you're not being real. You're not honoring what you actually feel. You're not standing in who you are. And over time, that disconnect adds up. Fall in love with the process of becoming. This is where everything shifts. When you stop chasing some finished version of yourself and start appreciating the process of becoming, the work, the reps, the uncomfortable conversations, the setbacks that force you to reflect. The obstacle is the way. Not just something that sounds good, something you live. Because every obstacle forces you to expand. And the more you lean into that, the more you grow. Your cup doesn't just fill, it expands. Most people think the goal is to fill their cup. I don't think that's it. I think the goal is to expand it. Because when you actually start taking care of yourself, training with intent, thinking with clarity, reflecting honestly, doing the work most people avoid, something happens. Your capacity increases. You don't just feel better, you become more disciplined, more grounded, more aware, and more resilient. Your cup gets bigger. And that's where it becomes powerful. Because now you're not showing up empty. You're not showing up looking to take from another. You're showing up full. And when you're full, you don't just give more physically. You show up more honestly, more confidently, more aligned with who you actually are. You speak your truth. You have the conversations most people avoid. You stop settling for things that don't reflect your worth. And that changes everything. The ripple effect. Now imagine this. Not just you doing this, but the people around you. Your circle. Your environment. Everyone doing the work. Everyone taking responsibility. Everyone expanding their own capacity. Now it's just not one full cup. It's a group of people, all overflowing. No one is draining each other. Everyone is contributing. Everyone is raising the standards. That's where real growth happens. Here's the reality check though. It all starts with you. It always does. You don't get to expect that from others if you're not doing it yourself. You don't get to show up half full and expect full results. So ask yourself honestly, are you taking care of yourself? Or are you avoiding the work under the label of being busy? Are you giving yourself grace while still holding the line? Or are you leaning too far in one direction? Because if your cup feels empty, there's a reason. So here's the shift. Start filling it the right way. Not with distractions, not with shortcuts, with discipline, with intention, with honesty. And over time, you won't just feel better. You'll become someone who naturally elevates the people around you. Because when your cup is full, you don't just pour, you set the standards.